It's entirely possible that me and people like me are why you are having to be able to speak American today.
You know, speaking American, that is ignorant. We speak English. English. We speak English in this country there, Von Chouchin. Not American. If we spoke American, that would be one of the Aboriginal languages of what we call the Native Americans, American Indians. They're the people who, from this continent. So if there's an American language, it would be one of those. And I don't think you know how to speak Cherokee. I do know some Cherokee words. Actually, I don't remember them anymore, but I had known them. And I think on this very computer, I have a Cherokee dictionary because I take pride in my Cherokee heritage. Unlike you just claim it, and then you make racist statements against black people and then say, "Oh, I'm Native American. I'm allowed to make Native," you know, because you're ignorant, Von Helton. You speak ignorance. You don't speak any other language.
Y'all don't give a flying fuck. And so, yeah, if I knew then what I know now about y'all's fucking attitude, I'd have said, fuck you. I'm not gonna defend you against Russia. Fuck you.
You didn't defend anybody against Russia. You went to boot camp, you went to AIT, and you drummed out. You didn't do civilian capacity because RE3s don't do civilian capacity. Neither did you have a college education. I know a few people that did civilian capacity after getting out of the military. They did their full enlistment, got an honorable discharge, not under honorable conditions, which is a general discharge. It's a gold painted turd, and it isn't real gold. And you didn't do nothing. You were an orderly for so many years, which is just a nurse's aide, which I'm not going to diss that profession because I know those nurses' aides work hard, but you probably didn't work hard because your mom owned the place you worked for, and your mom knows how you are. So, yeah.
Get on here talking shit about me and me busting my ass to try and save your asses during the Cold War. Fuck you, asshole.
Von Helton, you never busted your ass in your entire life, you lazy gold brickin'. If you busted your ass, you'd be able to do it now. I'm the same age as you. Look what I'm wearing today. Because I went in on a holiday. They needed a driver today to go to a construction site. I drive a dump truck for a construction company, and there was some rain up north of here. And one of the projects they were on, they had a bunch of the loose dirt spill or erode out onto the highway, and they had to get in a front end loader and scrape that dirt up and haul it and put it back. So I went in today for a couple hours and early this morning, and we moved some dirt. So that's what someone who busts their ass does, not sit on at home and play Skyrim all day long and rage on the internet.
Fuck you. Who the fuck are you? You ain't nobody. You ain't nobody. And Darren, take your DD-214 and shove it up your fucking ass, bitch. Because I know what happened to you. You got drummed out, fucker.
I didn't get drummed out. I got an RE1 discharge. I got RE1. You got RE3. You got drummed out. So why are you projecting your failure on me? I served honorably. So I think it's very un-American. If there's a list of things that are un-American, and you're the one who's the most patriotic person on YouTube, and you always claim this un-American this, and you're un-American if you do this, you're un-American if you're a liberal, and all this kind of stuff. What about someone who disses somebody's honorable military record? Is that honorable? I mean, is that American? That's un-American.
6 years in the military and all you got was the rank of private?
I did 7 years, but they were split services. I did 3 years in the Army where I made it to PFC, which is E3. Then I was out for 8 years or so, I don't know, 7 or 8 years. And by that time, I went back down to E1 because you go down a pay grade every year, and you go down a pay grade when you change branches of services. So I got out of the Army as an E3. I was out too long, so when I went in the Navy, I was at E1 again. So I was a PFC in the Army, and I was a hospital corpsman E3 in the Navy, doofus.
Yeah, something happened. Because after 6 fucking years, your happy ass should have at least been staff sergeant. So something fucking happened. And I think it's poor performance. That's what I think. Call me crazy.
Well, something may have happened. But unlike you, I'm not ashamed of my past. So I'm going to tell you why I didn't make an E4 in 4 years, okay? It's not 6 years, as you say, because you're getting information from Anus 19. But here's the truth of it. And I'm going to show at the end of this video to prove that I am not lying, because you can't prove your lies. I'm telling the truth. I can prove the truth. I got in, and it was still at Great Lakes Naval Base, and I applied to go up to the next rank. I made my ranks all in time, E1, E2, and E3, and then I was trying to make E4, and the first chance I had, I could have took the test, but it had been 6 months till I could have got promoted, but I failed that test, okay? I failed it because I'm dyslexic, and I don't take tests well. So, and I didn't study for it, didn't prepare for it. So I failed the test. A lot of people fail the first time. That's no big deal, but I'm admitting to it. And then the second time I took the test, it was at Camp Pendleton. I was already with the Marines, and I failed the test again. This time I studied, but there was a time limit on the test, and they said time's up, and I wasn't through taking the test. So all the questions I didn't answer yet were considered wrong answers, so I didn't make the cut. The third time I took the test, I got denied taking the test because I told a Marine Corps officer to fuck off. And Marine Corps officers don't like to be told to fuck off. So I did a fucked up thing in the military. I admit it because I don't lie like you. I admit when I do stuff wrong. You don't. You hide your past. You're ashamed of your past. I'm not ashamed that I did it. I told the guy to fuck off. It was my fault. He did smack me in the back of the head. I was sitting there writing down some papers. We were sitting in an auditorium. We were in Okinawa, and I had to write down the information that somebody's getting. That's how you get a hold of your wife and kid, your wife or family when you're overseas like that. And I wanted to get this information down. I was writing it down. He thought I was sleeping, so he hit me in the back of the head. Well, I didn't know it was an officer hitting me in the back of the head, so I stood up and told him to fuck off. And it was a butter bar lieutenant. You wouldn't know what that is because you weren't in the military long enough to know the lingo. A butter bar is a new lieutenant. We call him a butter bar. He just got out of college. He's a lieutenant. And he wasn't pissed at me, but the problem was behind me was all the officers in my unit. So they had to make an example of me. So I was put on restriction for 2 weeks, and I was fined, and then they withdrew the fine because I whined and said, I got a family to support and all this stuff. So they withdrew the fine, but I didn't get to take the test for that promotion. And then the last year that I was in, I took the test because, I took the test, I passed it. And I said, all right. I said, now do I get to become an E4? And they said, well, you only got 4 months left in the military, or 5 months. I can't remember how many months it was. They said, there's not enough time to promote you. If you re-enlist, you'll be promoted when you re-enlist. I didn't re-enlist because I was going through a divorce at the time. I probably should have re-enlisted, but shoulda, woulda, couldas, you know how those go. But that's why I got out as E3, and that's the honest truth. When are you going to be honest, Vonhelton?
A private after 6 years in the military? No fucking way. No fucking way. He should have at least been an E6 when he got out.
The Navy doesn't have privates, moron. I was an E3 hospitalman is what they called it. That's what I was when I got out, doofus. And I didn't do 6 years. I'll prove it at the end of this video.
But he was still an E2. Okay, so Darren can talk all the shit out of his mouth he wants.
That's right. I can talk all the shit I want because I really did it and you didn't. Because I'm pointing out the facts, the truth, and you call it talking shit. But my shit doesn't stink as bad as yours does.
Should have been an E6, but he's only an E2 when he comes out. Yeah, something ain't right there. Darren's got a little poor performance in his military background, too.
The only poor performance was I got what they call captain's mast in the Navy, but I was with the Marines at the time. They call it office hours for telling an officer to fuck off. That's all I did. But I didn't get poor performance. I always got high performance. I was very good at my job.
Ain't that right, Darren? Yeah. So don't throw stones when you live in a glass house, Darren.
Maybe you should look in the mirror. You're the one throwing stones, and you're an RE3. You're throwing stones at an RE1, doofus.
The captain gave me a choice. I could either wait a half a year to get transferred to another unit, or I could go into a civilian capacity and serve my country that way.
He gave you a choice. Either do your job or get out, and you didn't do your job and you got kicked out. That's the choice you got because your DD-214 clearly proves that point.
And possibly maybe even save lives.
Vonhelton, I did save lives. I was a medic. I worked in the emergency room when I was at Great Lakes, and they only let the best corpsmen work in the emergency room. So there goes your poor performance theory. Plus, I saved many people's lives, not only in the emergency room, but I saved people's lives out in the field when I was with the Marines. I carried a Marine with a broken leg down the side of Mount Fuji, you moron. What did you do? You hadn't saved anybody. You're not even saving your own life. You're killing yourself with all the tasty cake donuts and your Mountain Dew. Your feet are swelling because you got poor circulation because you sit on your ass all day and you don't do anything. You ain't getting your heart up working. You know, my feet swell when I wasn't working and I was sitting around looking for work on the computer. My feet were swelling too. But when I work hard all the time, my feet don't ever swell because my heart's moving. I'm working and I'm trying to eat better too. So I can't totally dish you on your poor eating habits because obviously a big guy like me didn't have the best eating habits in my life either.
Whereas if I'd have stayed in the Army, all I would have been done is playing Susie Homemaker. I wouldn't have actually been saving anybody's life at all. I'd have just been cleaning billets every fucking other day. Or cleaning the tank, or cleaning the motor pool.
We can all believe that because we know how much you don't like to clean after yourself, and that's pretty much why you got kicked out. Your low performance. You have to keep your equipment up. See, I drive a big truck. You drove a tank, right? There's similarities there because if I don't keep my tank clean or my truck clean, and I don't keep oil in it, and I don't keep, and I know you don't put oil in. Mechanics do that in the Army, but you have to keep your tank clean or otherwise it starts breaking down. Things start breaking when you don't keep them up and keep them clean. And that's why the Army stresses on that. And that's why you didn't make it in the Army because you can't clean up after yourself. You're too lazy to do that stuff. So that's clearly why you didn't make it in the military. And they would never ask you to do civilian capacity if you couldn't clean up after yourself.
But at least when I went in as civilian capacity, I actually had the opportunity to actually save real lives. Wow. What a concept.
What happens in the comic book stays in the comic book. You never did civilian capacity, okay? They don't give it to you in the middle of your enlistment. If you do a civilian contract kind of thing with the government, you get it after your enlistment. So you're lying there, and they wouldn't have gave it to you if you're an RE3. They wouldn't have gave it to you if you're under honorable conditions because that's a gold-painted turd. And they wouldn't have give it to you if, whatever that poor performance discharge you got. So, no, you didn't do civilian capacity. Neither, everyone I've ever known that did civilian capacity had a college education. You don't even have, you have barely a high school diploma, but that's just because they passed you through. Because back in the 80s, when you and I went to school, they just passed us through high school. I passed through high school and I couldn't even hardly read. So, you know, you you I did eventually finish high school, night school, and all that stuff, and I taught myself how to read, and I went to college. But you didn't do any of those things. You failed at the military, so you make up for your failure by coming up with this story about civilian capacity, which is a lie and which is a felony. It is a felony to pretend that you were a former government employee when you're not. So you're a criminal, Vonhelton. You committed a criminal act in your latest video, you moron. You call me a criminal because almost 11 years ago I committed a crime out of my own stupidity. But you're still doing stupid stuff, and you're still committing a crime. And then you're dissing a veteran because you're un-American.
But you know what? Fuck you. If I knew then what I know now, I'd have told the captain, nah, no thanks. They're not worth it. They're not worth it. They don't give a fuck. They're not worth it.
What really happened was the captain showed you the door. He wrote the papers. He's the one who put RE3 on your discharge. He's the one who put JHK or what, I can't remember what it is, on your discharge. He's the one that gave you a gold-painted turd and didn't give you an honorable discharge, which you claim you have an honorable discharge many times, and then you get caught in the act of lying. But no, you got drummed out of the military. I didn't get drummed out of the military. That Vonhelton, you moron. This is the time that I was in the military. 02, which is February of 89, I went in. I got out in June of 93. That's not 6 years, moron. That's 4 years and 5 months. I did extra time because of Desert Storm. Vonhelton, that's RE1. I didn't get drummed out. You don't get RE1s if you get drummed out. You get an RE3 when you get drummed out. Who got an RE3? Oh, that's right. Vonhelton got an RE3. That Vonhelton, that's an honorable discharge. I got an honorable discharge. That's what you get when you serve honorably. What do you get when you get drummed out? Oh, that's right. You get under honorable conditions. It's a gold-painted turd. This is real gold. This is genuine gold discharge. You got a turd-painted gold, Vonhelton. They put under honorable conditions to make it sound like it's a good discharge when it's just a piece of crap. That's what you got, Vonhelton. You got booted out of the Army because you wouldn't clean up after yourself. You wouldn't clean your equipment. You're a slob just like you are now. You're lazy just like you are now. And you failed at the military. And you never did civilian capacity because you need an honorable condition to do an honorable discharge to do civilian capacity. You know what, Vonhelton? When I got out, there was federal prisons asking me to work for them, not to be a prisoner, but to work in the medical. They get a lot of former military medics to work in the infirmaries in these prisons. I was given letters for several times. I didn't want to stay in California. I never got a letter for a federal prison in Colorado, so I never did pursue that. I probably should have, but I don't always make the right decisions. But see that's honorable. Something you know nothing about, Vonhelton. Now, I'm not going to take the time to show Vonhelton's DD-214. It's in several of my videos. Go look at some of my videos about Vonhelton's Valor thievery. There's quite a few of them, and most of them I show his DD-214, where Vonhelton himself, the doofus moron, showed his DD-214, proven he never did civilian capacity, that he's a Valor thief. Vonhelton is a Valor thief. Look at me, Vonhelton. You are a Valor thief. And there ain't shit you can do about it because it's the truth. And I proved my point. The difference is, Vonhelton, is you lied and you can't prove your lies. The difference between me and you is I tell the truth and you lie. I even admit when I'm wrong. I admitted that when I told an officer to fuck off. You don't admit to nothing. You don't even admit when you neglect your children and your children right there hungry on the walls. I want food. That's your legacy, Vonhelton. I want food is your legacy.